Man, I can't believe I haven't thought to talk about this because it's such a severe issue for me. And it probably doesn't manifest the way that it does for you because I don't have social anxiety. Contrary to all my ranting in my videos, I'm really actually quite good with people. Um, but I deal with pretty severe anxiety, and it fucking sucks. If Now, you might not know MBTI, you might not know Enneagram, but I am an Enneagram 7, and we're in what's called the thinking triad, 5, 6s, and 7s, and we all have different fears. And so this was something I wasn't aware of until probably maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Prior to that, I would have swore to God I didn't have any anxiety at all. But the reality of the situation was um, because I am like socially pretty good and inept and so on, I was just really good at avoiding my anxiety. I was constantly in this like fight to avoid my anxiety. And to be honest, like I've never done any drugs in my life. I've never drank. I don't smoke weed. I don't do any of that. But it's probably because I was so focused on other things. Like I probably would have turned to some of those things to address some of it if I was younger, but instead I was focused on trying to start businesses or building things or traveling, moving across the country, things like that. But my anxiety like it landed on my chest like really really hard in 2013 when I was dealing with some legal stuff, and I was dealing with I was dealing with some custody stuff, and it was like it just hit this point where in 1 month, like just back to back to back, month after month, and I would have a week where I had like 3 like kind of major court things going on. And fuck, like I was pretty much almost non-functional as a result. Like I was coping and I was managing. I wasn't resorting to unhealthy behaviors. I wasn't necessarily avoidant, but I was definitely excessively ruminating. And so I am going to tell you my solution dealing with my anxiety, and this is not probably this is not a functional or viable solution for the majority of people, but I realize that I've built my life around my anxiety issues. So instead of medicating myself for them and instead of catering to what the world wanted me to be, I just created the world I needed to live in for myself. And so a lot of times my anxiety comes when I have to live outside of that world. It comes with, like, I deal with a lot of anxiety over unknown situations. And not in some of the ways you might think. Like, when I was younger, I used to go on interviews for fun. Like, I actually enjoyed it. I remember a company telling me that they had to do a panel interview for me. It was a little bit of a higher up position, so I was going to be interviewed by a whole panel of people, and I was like pumped to do it. So I don't have anxiety like that, which is something that you may have anxiety over. But I definitely deal with this like fear of the unknown and fear of being stuck, and I deal with some pretty decent anxiety that can definitely ramp up very very quickly for me. And if you're astute and you watch enough of my stuff, you'll see that I am working on a travel trailer. I'm building a stealth travel trailer out of a enclosed aluminum trailer that I have, and part of that is to cope with my anxiety. Like, I'm literally creating the space that I need to cope with my anxiety. I have a bizarre anxiety about dependence. Like, I need to be really self-reliant, and so I want a space in my life that is completely contained and comfortable for me, but not dependent on anything else. So not dependent on paying my bills, or not dependent on, my electric or my gas or my water. And I'm trying to sort of create that life. Like, I want to buy land and I want to be off grid so that I'm completely reliant on just myself and nobody else. And excuse me. A big part of that is me, sort of, I don't want to say bending. I'm struggling with the right word here, but part of that is me adapting to my anxiety and adjusting my life to it. Because if I were to live in a big city, have a car payment and have all these things, like, I live within my means very intentionally because of the anxiety that comes with trying to finance a car. So at one point, I bought a car that was $360. Now, I can do that. The car was in pretty rough shape and I had to rebuild parts of it, but I can do that because I have the skill set to be able to do that. But I understand that that's like what most people's probably car payments are, but I stuck with that car until I literally drove that car for almost 2 years, and then ended up trading it for a better car, oddly enough, because I had fixed it up. And then I saved up some money and I got a better car, but I worked my way up because the anxiety that a car payment would cause me would just be fucking enormous. Like, it would eat at me. So I definitely have a lot of anxiety with things like that. And I'm not sure if you guys can relate to that. I don't know if somebody that has kind of the same anxiety issues as me. A lot of times when you hear people talk about anxiety, it's social anxiety or anxiety in ways that maybe I'm not familiar with are easy for me. It is definitely one of the reasons where I don't mind being in a relationship with somebody that's really high anxiety, because it tends to be that they experience it in ways completely different than me, and I can kind of act like a buffer for them, and they can sort of act like a buffer for me on those fronts. But I just wanted to share this to let you know that you're definitely not alone if you're experiencing it. And I don't have a great solution for you, because my solution for me was to just create a life that didn't exacerbate that anxiety. And I don't know how viable that is for everybody. Hopefully it is for you. And I would love for my own growth to hear your comments and your experience on this and how it manifests for you. And if you experience any of the same things as me, I would love to hear about it. All right, later.